The evil vampire Strahd von Zedovich. For ages untold, he has ruled over the lands of Barovia, trapped within the mist and fueled by the terrible forces known as the Dark Powers. Within this plane, Strahd's rule would seem all but absolute, as he feeds on and terrorizes the people of Barovia. But Strahd is as much a prisoner as his victims are, as are many evil beings like him. Barovia is not the only dark location shrouded by the mist that confine and trap the evils of the Dark Powers, and many dark and terrible masters and prisons create the collection of horrible domains which make up the Ravenloft setting. Hello everyone, and welcome to the dungeon. I am your host, the Dungeon Master Vibe, and today we are talking about domains of dread. So, to start off, what is a domain of dread, and where did they come from? Ravenloft first appeared in 1983 as the classic AD&D module Ravenloft, introducing Strahd von Zedovich as a gothic horror villain inspired by Dracula. At first, Barovia was a standalone nightmare, but players wanted more. In 2nd edition, Ravenloft expanded into a full campaign setting. The concept of multiple domains of dread was introduced, forming a connected but fractured collection of lands ruled by dark lords. This era defined Ravenloft's core themes: gothic horror, moral tragedy, villains cursed by their own sins. During 3rd edition, Ravenloft became more mechanically defined, with deeper lore, regional politics, and detailed Dark Lord backstories. And finally, in 5th edition, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft reimagined the setting. Domains became more flexible, horror genres expanded beyond gothic, and the Dark Powers became intentionally unknowable. Today, the Domains of Dread are less a single map and more a toolkit for horror storytelling. Residing within a corner of the Shadowfell, or sometimes just called the Plane of Shadow, is Ravenloft and its Domains of Dread. As described in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, in a far-flung corner of the Plains of Shadows drifts a hidden expanse of roiling mist and vague semi-reality. At this eerie edge of the multiverse, the Dark Powers collect the most wicked beings from across ages and worlds within inescapable, mist-shrouded domains. These are the Domains of Dread, the nightmare demiplanes that form the D&D setting of Ravenloft. Untold terrors lurk within these lands, yet the collection of the Dark Powers is far from complete. As described here, each Domain of Dread is semi-connected and resides within the larger plane of the Shadowfell. These locations act as horrible super prisons for the darkest and most dastardly of D&D villains. That said, these are not good-intentioned locations built to trap bad people. As the evil individuals are prisoners, so too are those trapped with them or created within the plane, and all are tortured the same by the horrors within. Though many people inhabit the lands of a Domain of Dread, not all are alive, with many being soulless puppets made to look and act somewhat alive for the purpose of occupying the domain and continue the ironic torture of the primary host of the domain. There are those that are born in a domain with a soul, however, often called a bright soul. Strangely, compared to everything else about Domain of Dread, these individuals are often known to be vibrant, imaginative, and ambitious, often finding themselves stifled by the dour, soulless individuals who outnumber them, leading many to seek better lives and answers to the mysteries of their home domain. If there is ever to be a hero within Ravenloft, then it is most certainly to be a bright soul. If Ravenloft is to be the core setting of your game, and your players were not somehow transported there, then most assuredly your player characters should take the role of a bright soul. So where do these domains fit into your games? Simply put, they can be the full location for your campaign being used for any of your horror-themed settings, of which there is a domain for just about every genre of horror. From gothic horror to folk, body, eldritch, and even cosmic horror. To those who live in these domains, this is all they know, and the terrors of their home is not only fact, but somebody that would tell them of the existence of places beyond would likely call you a liar, as they have no basis to believe there is something other than this terror. A Domain of Dread is a fully lived-in location. Even though the majority of its inhabitants are actually soulless puppets, they are, at least in terms of what you can find in the Shadowfell, every much as alive as any of your player characters are going to be. To them, this is simply their world. This is what they live in. There are cities and kingdoms and even politics within certain domains of dread. It all depends on who is in charge and how they choose to take charge of a domain of dread. If you don't plan to have the campaign start in Ravenloft, maybe your characters are trapped there by the evil Dark Lords that rule over it, were sent there by a different evil to get them out of their way, or some other reason to need to travel to or through such a terrible place. Keep in mind that these are self-contained demi-planes and hard to get in and out of, as they are made to trap some of the greatest and most terrible evils of D&D. As such, it should take something very significant to the campaign to allow travel between or escape from the domains, as these planes are so cut off from material and other planes that spells like plane shift, teleport, astral projection, and even wish typically fail to work within them. One cannot simply walk in or out either, as the mists that surround each plane, no matter what, redirect and turn you around, causing you to wander aimlessly until eventually ending up right back where you started, if you get to reappear at all. This, like in Curse of Strahd, acts as the perfect unifying reason for your characters to work together. No matter how heroic or selfish you might make your character, every one of them has to realize that if they don't work together to defeat what is holding the Domain of Dread together, which is most likely whatever curse holds the domain's Dark Lord, nobody is getting out alive. So, who or what must the party face to escape or otherwise be the victor in a Ravenloft setting? Regardless of what your goal in a Ravenloft setting is, odds are you're going to be coming head to head with the Dark Lord that presides over the Domain of Dread you're in. As I said before, each domain is built as a sort of ironic prison and torture for a specific evil being. This being is that domain's Dark Lord. This is the person or thing that controls, rules over, and is the primary prisoner of a Domain of Dread. This creature likely has an almost total control on what happens within the domain, but lacks any ability to leave it, which is why, in cases like the Curse of Strahd, heroes and adventurers are lured into Barovia for his dark designs, as he is unable to leave of his own power. Whatever domain you choose to play in, or if you play across several, the Dark Lord is the absolute BBEG of that location, and is likely to attempt in some manner to thwart your attempts to escape or undermine them. So how can you use Domains of Dread in your campaign? In my case, I actually used several in a plane hopping adventure frame that allowed an almost Monster of the Week style use of the different Domains of Dread, and it started a little something like this. You awaken aboard a strange moving carriage. The wheels rattle against metal as you are assailed by the mist of dust and rot. Is this a train? These are luxury back home, and you'd always thought their insides be much nicer than this. Disappointment aside, there is the issue of wondering how you even got here. As you explore the carts, you meet other passengers, each of them from different lands, and just as confused as you as to how they arrived aboard the train. As you and your new companions move forward on the train, you are assailed by vengeful ghosts and mechanical attendants demanding to see tickets you don't have, and seeming all too eager to try and throw you off the train as punishment for the lack of tickets. As you make it to the front of the train, you are met with a mysterious passenger, the last passenger, who doomed this train to forever ride on these rails through the border mist in an attempt to escape a calamity that has long taken them. This is Sire 1313, the Morning Rail, a domain of dread consisting of a single lightning rail from the Eberron setting. Aboard this train, either working with or against the last passenger in an attempt to escape Ravenloft, you ride the train through and into other domains of dread, stealing from them sources of their connection to the dark powers, to fuel its engine, and with this power, hopefully escape. But how much can you trust the last passenger? Just who are they to have doomed hundreds to have landed them a place as a domain of dread and a Dark Lord? This campaign frame makes use of many horror themes and allows you to travel across different horrifying vistas as described in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, making many new friends and enemies across myriad horror story tropes. In fact, Some domains of dread work perfectly for shorter stints of time within them, such as the domain of Valachan and its Dark Lord, the Immortal Hunter Chakuna. This domain consists of a thick and dangerous rainforest, where its Dark Lord spends their days hunting beasts and people as she forces others to take part in the Trial of Hearts, a battle royale meets the most dangerous game. Here, the players would arrive and need to acquire something from Chakuna, her old heart, in order to escape. All the while, she and her unwilling participants in the trial hunt you down like the predator, with a pack of displacer beasts acting as hunting dogs. Someone's probably into this, frankly. So, whether you plan to use a domain in the short term or for a full-length campaign, they are a well-designed framework and tool to create interesting and gripping horror adventures for you and your players. And, even if you don't want to use the domains of dread themselves, the different unique villains and creatures that originate from them could really spice up a game. As for the adventure idea I just told you about, sadly I made that some time ago for a very short-term game and I don't have its original notes. But if you did want to have an adventure aboard Sire 1313, I might recommend the adventure Sire 1313, The Morning Rail, written by Megan Caldwell and available on Dungeon Masters Guild, link below, and also not sponsored. I just think it's cool and other people seem to think so as well. Would you play a horror-themed adventure? Even if not, I do recommend looking up Domains of Dread and Dark Lords for your games, as they are a very interesting addition to a game if you're looking to include some pure evil to really make a clear line of good versus evil in your games. Regardless of how or if you'd use Ravenloft and Domains of Dread for your games, I hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you get your brain juices flowing for planning out your next game. Regardless of how or if you'd use Ravenloft and Domains of Dread for your games, I hope you enjoyed the video and it helped get your brain juices flowing for planning your next game. For now, I hope you enjoyed this, and as you can probably tell, I am taking another shot towards making more YouTube-focused content and focusing more on actual D&D and other TTRPG content, which was really always my original intent with the channel. Don't worry, I am still going to do some stream content as well, probably focusing those more towards collab-based TTRPG and FF14 sessions, just trying to kind of work things back out towards more of a direction that, I enjoy again. Regardless though, hopefully you enjoyed this one and keep an eye out for the next video that I hope to have out sooner rather than later. Bye.